Today, we're tackling a tough but necessary topic: knowing what to expect when someone you love is nearing the end of their life. It's not easy to talk about, I get it, but understanding these moments can help you feel less lost and let you be there for them in a way that really matters. In this video, we're covering 7 key signs, each with a story to make it real. My hope is to give you some clarity and maybe a bit of peace for a journey none of us want to take. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll feel more ready. Let's dive in. Sign 1. Loss of appetite and thirst. You might notice your loved one stops eating or drinking much. Let's talk about Clara, a 78-year-old grandmother from Seattle. Clara was famous for her blueberry pancakes, the kind that brought her family together every Sunday morning. But in her final weeks, her daughter, Mia, saw Clara barely touch her food. Even her favorite chamomile tea sat untouched. Mia's first thought was to fix it. Maybe a feeding tube or protein shakes could help. It's what we do when we love someone, right? But doctors explain that forcing food or fluids at this stage can cause more harm than good. Research shows that in terminally ill patients, artificial nutrition often leads to discomfort, like bloating, nausea, or even pain, because the body can't process it anymore. Imagine trying to charge a phone with a nearly dead battery. You plug it in, but the energy just isn't getting through. Clara's body was redirecting every bit of its limited resources to keep her heart and brain going, not to digest food. Digestion, doctors say, takes a surprising amount of energy someone in their final days simply doesn't have. It's like their body's saying, "I've got bigger things to focus on now." Forcing food can lead to swelling or discomfort because the stomach and intestines are slowing down, almost like they're clocking out early. Here's the surprising part. Clara didn't seem to mind not eating. Doctors note that many people at this stage don't feel hunger or thirst, except maybe a dry mouth, which Mia eased with small ice chips or a damp cloth on Clara's lips. Why? The brain releases endorphins, nature's own painkillers, that can create a sense of calm, sometimes even a peaceful euphoria. It's like the body's way of saying, "It's okay, I'm taking care of you." Artificial feeding, though, can confuse the body, making it fight a painful, hopeless battle that just prolongs the process. Mia struggled with this. She felt like letting Clara skip meals meant giving up on her, but her doctor sat her down and explained that following Clara's body's lead was the kindest choice. Instead of focusing on food, Mia spent those days holding Clara's hand, playing her favorite jazz records, and sharing memories of family vacations. It wasn't about pancakes anymore. It was about love. Mia learned to let go of the guilt and focus on what made Clara comfortable, small things like brushing her hair or keeping her favorite quilt tucked around her. If you see this sign, don't push food or drinks. Offer a sip of water, moisten their lips, or try ice chips if they want them, but let their body decide what it needs. It's tough to watch, no doubt, but it's about respecting where they are in their journey. Focus on being present, talk to them, share stories, or just sit quietly by their side. Those moments matter more than you might realize. Clara's family found peace in knowing they were giving her exactly what she needed: love, not a plate of food she couldn't handle. Sign 2. Cold and mottled extremities. Another sign is when your loved one's hands, feet, or legs start feeling cold or look blotchy, like a patchwork quilt. Meet James, a 65-year-old retired firefighter from Chicago. James was a tough guy, always the first to run into a burning building to save someone. But in his final days, his son, Tyler, noticed James's hands were ice cold, even under a pile of blankets. His feet had these purple-gray patches, almost like bruises that appeared out of nowhere. Tyler was shaken, wondering if James was in pain or if something was going wrong. Doctors say this is a natural part of the body slowing down, and it's not painful at all. Here's what's going on. The heart, which worked so hard James' whole life, can't pump blood as effectively anymore. To save energy, the body pulls blood away from less critical areas like the hands, feet, and legs to protect the brain and heart. It's like a ship diverting power to life support when the engines are failing. Research shows this mottling and coldness often appears in the last hours or days, a clear signal the end is near. Your doctor will tell you this isn't something you can fix, but it's a sign to shift your focus to comfort. Tyler tried everything: extra socks, a space heater, even rubbing James's hands to warm them, but they stayed cold. His doctor reassured him that James wasn't suffering. The body was prioritizing his vital organs, not warming his fingers. Tyler felt helpless at first, but he found meaning in small acts, like tucking a soft blanket around his dad or holding his hand, even if it felt chilly. Those moments let Tyler feel like he was still protecting his hero, the way James had always protected others. Doctors also point out that this modeling can spread, starting at the toes or fingers and moving upward. It's not a cause for alarm, just a sign the body's winding down. Tyler noticed the patches on James's legs the day before he passed, and though it was hard to see, he knew it meant they didn't have much time left. He used those hours to sit with his dad, play some of James's favorite classic rock songs, and tell him how proud he was to be his son. It wasn't about fixing the cold. It was about making sure James felt loved. If you notice this sign, don't stress about warming them up endlessly. A cozy blanket or warm socks are enough to keep them comfortable. Focus on being there. Hold their hand, talk to them, or just sit close. Your presence is what they'll feel most, even if their hands are cold. Tyler learned that those final moments weren't about changing the outcome, but about showing up, just like James always did for him. It's a small way to honor their life, and it means everything. Sign 3. Irregular breathing patterns. This one can be really hard to witness. Your loved one's breathing might get uneven, with long pauses that make your heart skip a beat. Let's meet Emily, a 52-year-old teacher from Toronto. Emily was all about her students, always grading papers with a cup of coffee in hand and a smile. But in her final days, her sister, Rachel, noticed Emily's breathing was all over the place. Fast 1 minute, then so slow it seemed to stop for 15 seconds at a time. Rachel thought Emily was struggling for air, and it tore her apart to watch. Doctors call this agonal breathing, sometimes nicknamed fish out of water breathing because of the gasping look. But it's not what it seems. The brain's control center, the brainstem, takes over breathing as the body shuts down. It's like switching to autopilot when the pilot's too tired to fly. These breaths aren't about needing air, they're just reflexes, like your knee jerking when a doctor taps it. Your doctor will explain that the pauses, which can last 10 to 20 seconds, aren't painful. Emily wasn't fighting. Her body was just doing what it needed to as it slowed down. You might also hear a gurgling sound, known as the death rattle. It's caused by saliva or fluids pooling in the throat because swallowing's getting harder. It sounds unsettling, like a soft rattle or wheeze, but doctors stress it doesn't hurt them. Rachel found the gurgling agonizing to hear, like it was stealing her sister away. Her doctor helped her understand it was normal and suggested keeping Emily's head slightly elevated with a pillow to reduce the sound, which helped a little. Rachel focused on staying calm, holding Emily's hand, and whispering memories of their childhood summers at the lake. Those long pauses felt like eternity, but they meant the end was close, maybe hours away. Rachel used that time to tell Emily how much she loved her, even if Emily couldn't respond. Doctors say that hearing is one of the last senses to go, so your voice can still reach them, even in those quiet moments. If you see this sign, don't panic, even though it's tough. Stay by their side, talk to them, or play music they love. Your presence is a comfort they can still feel, even if their breathing sounds strange. Rachel found solace in knowing Emily wasn't in pain, just transitioning in her own way. She lit a small candle by Emily's bed, a habit they'd shared during late-night chats, and it felt like a way to stay connected. Those small acts can ground you when the breathing patterns feel overwhelming. Sign 4. Increased sleep and unconsciousness. You might notice your loved one sleeping way more, sometimes slipping into unconsciousness. Let's talk about Michael, a 70-year-old carpenter from Boston. Michael was a storyteller, always sharing tales of building houses with his sons over cups of strong coffee. But in his final weeks, his daughter, Sarah, noticed he was asleep most of the day, barely waking to talk. It felt like he was drifting away, and Sarah worried she was losing him before she was ready. Doctors say this is the body's way of conserving every bit of energy it has left. Everything breathing, keeping the heart beating takes a huge effort at this stage. It's like running a marathon with no training, every step a struggle. As the end nears, sleep can deepen into unconsciousness. Then, sometimes a coma. Your doctor will tell you this isn't something you can stop. It's the body preparing to let go. For Sarah, it was heartbreaking to see her dad so quiet, the man who'd always filled the room with laughter. But she learned to cherish the moments he was awake, even if he only squeezed her hand or gave a faint smile. Sarah started reading Michael's favorite book, Moby Dick, by his bedside, hoping he could hear her voice. Doctors say that even in deep sleep, people can sense love and presence like a soft light in the fog. Sarah also played some of Michael's favorite folk tunes, the ones he'd hum while sanding wood. Those sounds seemed to ease him, even if he didn't open his eyes. If you notice this sign, don't try to wake them constantly. It's exhausting for them. Let them rest, but keep talking, singing, or playing music they love. It's your way of staying connected, even as they drift. Sarah found comfort in small rituals, like brushing Michael's hair or adjusting his pillow. It was her way of saying, "I'm still here, Dad." She also kept a journal by his bed, jotting down memories to share with her kids someday. Those acts helped her feel like she was still part of Michael's story, even as he slept more. If you're in this moment, lean into those quiet ways of showing love. It's not about waking them up, it's about letting them feel you're there, no matter how deep their sleep. Sign 5. Loss of bladder or bowel control. This one's not easy to talk about. Your loved one might lose control of their bladder or bowels. Meet Linda, an 82-year-old librarian from Vancouver. Linda was fiercely independent, always organizing book clubs with her sharp wit and a stack of novels. But in her final days, her son, David, noticed she couldn't control her bladder anymore. It was humbling for both of them, a stark change for a woman who'd always been so put together. Doctors say this is a common part of the dying process, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. The brain normally sends signals to muscles, like the ones controlling the bladder, to keep things in check. It's like a traffic light saying, "Hold." But as the body shuts down, those signals stop, and the muscles relax, letting go. Your doctor will note this often happens right before, or even after death. It's not glamorous, but it's natural. David felt awkward at first, unsure how to handle it without embarrassing his mom. His doctor advised using absorbent pads and approaching it with care, like he was still honoring Linda's dignity. David focused on keeping Linda comfortable, changing her bedding quietly, and keeping her favorite lavender-scented lotion nearby to make the room feel calm. It wasn't easy, but he saw it as a way to care for her, the way she'd cared for him as a kid. Doctors suggest having supplies, ready pads, wipes, clean sheets so you're not scrambling. David also talked to Linda as he helped, saying things like, "Mom, we've got this, don't worry." Even if she didn't respond, it felt right to keep her in the loop. If this happens, don't stress or feel like you're failing them. Handle it with kindness, keep them clean, and focus on the love you're showing. It's tough, but it's part of being there for them. David found that these moments, as hard as they were, let him give back to his mom in a way that felt deeply human. It was about respect, not perfection. Sign 6. Confusion or delirium. Sometimes, your loved one might seem confused or even talk to people who aren't there. Let's meet Thomas, a 68-year-old farmer from Alberta. Thomas spent his life tending crops, always up at dawn to check his fields. In his final days, his wife Ellen noticed he was talking to his late brother, as if he were sitting right there in the room. Sometimes, he'd ramble about planting seeds in winter, which made no sense to Ellen. She was scared. Was Thomas losing his mind? Doctors call this terminal delirium, and it's more common than you might think. As the body winds down, changes in metabolism, oxygen levels, or even medications can affect the brain, causing confusion or hallucinations. It's like the mind's trying to tune a radio with a weak signal, picking up bits and pieces. Your doctor will say, these moments aren't usually distressing for the person. They might even find comfort in seeing loved ones. For Thomas, talking to his brother seemed to bring peace, like they were catching up after years apart. Ellen noticed a faint smile when he mentioned his brother's old fishing stories. Ellen was tempted to correct Thomas, to say, your brother's not here, but her doctor advised against it. Arguing can cause agitation, making things harder for them. Instead, go along with it, nod, smile, or say something gentle like, tell him I said hi. Ellen tried this, and it calmed Thomas. She'd sit by his bed, holding his hand, and listen as he talked about old farm days. If the confusion seems distressing, your doctor might suggest small doses of medication to ease it, but often, a calm presence is enough. Ellen found comfort in knowing Thomas wasn't suffering, just wandering in his own world for a bit. She brought out an old photo album, pointing out pictures of Thomas and his brother, and it seemed to ground him, even if just for a moment. If you see this sign, stay patient. It's their mind's way of coping with a body that's slowing down. Your love and presence can still reach them, even through the fog of delirium. Sign 7. Decreased social interaction. Finally, your loved one might pull back from conversation or seem distant, even from you. Meet Sophie, a 75-year-old artist from Montreal. Sophie's paintings were vibrant, just like her personality, always chatting with her granddaughter, Chloe, about colors and dreams. But in her final weeks, Chloe noticed Sophie was quieter, staring out the window or closing her eyes when people visited. It hurt. Chloe felt like Sophie was shutting her out. Doctors say this is the body and mind turning inward, focusing on the task of letting go. It's not personal. It's like their energies being funneled into the essentials, leaving little for small talk or social time. Your doctor will explain that social withdrawal is a natural part of dying, almost like a cocoon forming before transformation. Sophie wasn't rejecting Chloe, was just conserving strength, like a candle burning low. Chloe struggled with the silence, but started sitting quietly by Sophie's side, sketching in a notebook like they used to do together. Doctors suggest using this time for quiet presence. Hold their hand, play soft music, or just sit nearby. Sophie seemed to relax when Chloe was there, even if she didn't speak. Chloe brought out some of Sophie's old sketchbooks, flipping through them quietly, and sometimes she'd read aloud from a poetry book Sophie loved. It felt like a way to stay connected, even in the quiet. If you notice this sign, don't force conversation or try to pull them back. Be there and let them feel your love in the stillness. Chloe also lit a small lavender candle, a scent Sophie always loved in her studio. It made the room feel like home, even in those final days. Those small acts helped Chloe feel like she was still part of Sophie's world, even as Sophie grew quieter. If you're in this moment, find those little ways to show up. Maybe it's playing their favorite song or just sitting close. It's not about filling the silence. It's about letting them know you're there, no matter how far they seem. All right, let's wrap this up. Watching someone you love approach the end is never easy, but knowing these 7 signs: loss of appetite, cold extremities, irregular breathing, increased sleep, loss of bladder control, confusion, and social withdrawal can make those moments feel less like a mystery. It's like having a map for a road you didn't choose. If this video helped, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. Subscribe and hit the bell for more videos like this. We'll talk about supporting yourself through grief next time. Drop a comment. What's one thing you wish you'd known about this process? Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.